the DigiGirlz Small Basic Flower recipe. This is a beginning recipe, and you can actually use it as a kind of a review. We sometimes have it as a warm-up recipe after you've done like the first 3 or 4. It uses basic concepts like subs, fake it till you make it, nothing too complicated. It's a pretty simple recipe, so once you've done square, houses, spiral, some of the other ones, this is a real good one to do. So in the intentional method, we're going to read a line and then translate it and do one line at a time. So go ahead and read line 1, please.
Show the tortoise.
So of course we're going to do tortoise.show for that one. And we are going to run each line and then remove the English as soon as we see the tortoise by pressing Control L. And then read line 2 for me, please.
Make the tortoise move as fast as possible.
Now we're not going to do that yet because we are not moving any place. We can do line 4 though. Go ahead and read line 4.
Make the background silver.
Okay, and it might be a new object for kids. This is the program window, and if you explore on that, you're going to see that you can set the background color, and they could do either the silver string, or we're encouraging kids to use the objects. So colors.silver in this case, and we can go ahead and run that and see what it looks like. Nice. Alright, and the next line we can't do yet because the tortoise isn't moving, so we're going to skip down and we're going to go down to line 13. So read that for me, please.
Turn the tortoise 1/5 of 360 degrees to the right.
Actually, this is a really common mistake the kids will make. It actually says turn the tortoise 1/15. So if they say 1/5, it's going to come out a little bit differently. So that's a very common instructor mistake. Or a student mistake that you can watch for as an instructor. So there it turns just a little teeny tiny bit. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go down to line 50, and let's read that one out.
Move the tortoise 50 pixels.
Okay, so that's just your basic move. So now we can see him moving, and we're going to run that. So there he's going. And then read line 52 for me, please.
Turn the tortoise 1/8 of 360 degrees to the right.
Okay, and we're going to see that one. And again, you're just wanting repetition at this point when you're early on teaching. So you translate a line, you run a line, you delete the code. Okay, so let's go back up to the top and let's read line 2.
Make the tortoise move as fast as possible.
Okay, this should be a getter and setter, so we're going to set the speed since we've seen him move. And that's looking good. And the next thing that we're going to do after we clean that up is we're going to translate line 4, so go ahead and read that.
Make the line the tortoise draws 3 pixels wide.
This is a nice line to emphasize with it because we're going to set the pen width right after we set the speed. And again, kids are getting used to the small basic syntax of get and set. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go down and draw an octagon. So we're going to use our for loop here to translate line 44, which is what?
Do the following 8 times.
So for I equals 1 to 8, and if the kids are forgetting the syntax, make sure that they use the documentation that shows up when you click on the for keyword over on the right side over here. And you know if they put 10, they're not really reading. So notice we haven't done anything with the line color here because we're focusing on drawing the shape first. This is another thing that we've done in our recipes. We focus first on drawing and then on changing the colors. And there we've got an octagon, so that's looking good. So we can clean up some of these lines. And then we're going to right click to format. And then let's make this into a sub. And again, lots of repetition here. Repetition is how kids get best practices. And then we're going to have our end sub. And of course, if we run it, the octagon won't get drawn, and the kids should know why, because it hasn't been called. So we're going to go back up to line 9, which says what?
Draw octagon.
And then once we call it, we're going to draw it, and then the tortoise will turn. So that's looking good. And then we'll get rid of this down here. And then we'll do a right-click format. So now we're going to go up to the top, and we're going to complete our shape. So if you read line 7.
Do the following 15 times.
Now watch out, don't use an I because that variable's already been used. So we need to say j equals 1 to 15. And there we've got our bug that says tortoise. So we're going to say 2, 15. And the repeat translates into the N4. And we want to have the N4 there. and then we want to go ahead and run that. And that is our flower, but it's a pretty boring looking flower. So now we want to add some color into this world. So there it's rendered, and we want to just get rid of our comment code and right-click Format. Now for the purposes of time, you do want the kids to type this out, but I just filled some of this in because this is an instructor video. So we're going to work with the color palette, so you can see the recipe for the color palette. Read line 14 for me, please.
Color 1 is red.
Okay, something we're reintroducing here is the idea of variables. So we want to say color 1 is equal to colors, and we really want the kids to use the colors object because less typing is better. And you can see we've got color 1 is red, color 2 is dark orange, color 3 is gold, color 4 is yellow, and color 4 is yellow. Okay, so then once you've got those, then you want to add the colors to the color wheel. They wouldn't do anything at this point. So to do that, we're going to use the color wheel, which should be familiar to the kids from previous recipes, and we're going to add color, and then we're going to add the appropriate color. Now, a common thing kids will do here is they'll want to copy and paste this whole section because this is color 1, color 2, but if you notice, it goes color 1, color 2, color 3, color 4, and then it goes color 4, color 3, color 2, color 1. And when we look at the way the shape is colored, this will make sense. And we want to add color 1. So if kids do copy and paste like this, then you want to check and make sure that they've read. Now again, I'm going way faster than the kids should go. They should be translating and then running, translating and then running. Of course, this is not going to do anything because we haven't called it yet. So we still got a black shape. Okay? And the kids might want to use their own colors, and that's okay, no big deal. Purposes of time, I'm just going to go ahead and close this after the shape finishes. So now what we want to do is we want to go and encapsulate this in a sub. So I want to say sub, create, color, palette, and then we want to put our end sub. Again, this is a nice sort of a medium recipe, getting the kids practice with subs because the more advanced recipes have a lot more subs in them. So now we created the color palette, but again, if you run it, and we're going ahead and format it so kids can see what's going on, is it going to do anything? Ask the kids. No. Why? Let them really think about the answer to this because that's going to help them to understand the intention of the code that they're writing. Super, super, super important that they understand what it is they're coding rather than just being in a race to translate the English before their neighbors do. And of course, to finish this off, they have to go to the key line, which is this line 27. Can you read that out for me?
Change the color of the line the tortoise draws to the next color on the color wheel.
Okay, and in order to do that, what we need to do is we need to work with the tortoise object and use the setter again, set pen color, and then we need to say from the color wheel, get next color, okay? And that's going to give us the really cool result. And of course the kids are going to want to do variations here. Now a fun thing to do once they've done this, and a variant way to teach this is to not call this create color palette, but to translate the color line before you do it, and you'll see what happens here. We purposely, in the color object, we wrote an error handler that shows up if there's no colors in the color wheel. So that's kind of a fun way to teach this as well. So this recipe also leads to a lot of variation. Kids are feeling really comfortable at this point, so we really encourage when they finish the recipe to do all kinds of fun variations, changing the number of sides, changing the angles of the turn, changing the different color variables. It really leads to a mastery. So this is kind of the end of the beginning before you go into the more advanced recipes with the events and so on and so forth. So I hope this helps. For more, go to www.teachingkidsprogramming.org.